Hey guys, Spring Bengtzen here. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is the one and only Jeff Cohn. Jeff is a fun, charismatic guy that I love always talking to about business. He also happens to be the #1 agent in Berkshire Hathaway in the entire country. Today, Jeff discusses how he got to be #1, the steps he took from being a solo agent up to building a team and now really having that 7th level business, as well as what he's now moving into with the ibuyers coming into the space and in the investment world, and really creating wealth within the real estate industry. So tune in, enjoy, and I hope you get some good nuggets.
Hey friends, Spring Bengtzen here, and I'm stoked to have you join us on Real Estate Real Life. Success in real estate and life is 80% mindset and 20% strategy. This podcast goes deep into the mind of top real estate entrepreneurs, CEOs, and mindset coaches across the country who are downright dominating their space and thriving in their lives and business. Tune in each week to learn how the best in the business are building systems that work for them and creating incredible opportunity and freedom in both their lives and businesses.
Hey everyone, it's springtime. Welcome back to the Real Estate Real Life podcast. Today's guest is Jeff Cohn. Jeff is the #1 Berkshire Hathaway agent in the country and just an all-around badass. I was asking him for his resume of everything he's doing, and he just listed off a plethora of things from a coaching organization, buying properties, all kinds of stuff. So Jeff, welcome.
Hey, Spring, what's up? I'm looking forward to being on the show today.
Thank you so much. So I know I'm not going to do you justice. So give me the laundry list of things that you've got cooking.
No, you're fine. Yeah, we've got a handful of things that run parallel with our real estate team. The first businesses that I launched was title and insurance. So we have a full operational title and escrow company as well as an insurance company. Primarily, they service leads that my team brings to them in Omaha, as well as a few of our business partners, clients. About 70% of our business comes from owners, the leads from the owners, and then 30% comes from outside places. We also launched a call center in the Philippines called 1,000 Calls a Day. We've got about 100 full-time virtual callers that make outbound calls to generate listing leads for traditional agents, as well as investor leads for investors. Launched an investment company about 3 years ago. We buy about 100 properties a year in and around the Omaha area, single family, multifamily. And we keep about 1/3 of those doors as rental properties. And then I started a coaching company, Elite Real Estate Systems. We have about 150 full-time coaching clients, full-time. We have 150 coaching clients. We host the Team Building Summit every year. It's the only event I know of that's team specific. The teambuildingsummit.com is the site for that. I also have a podcast, the Team Building Podcast. I've had you on, Spring, and we want to continue bringing you back to that show as well. And then we really are big on group coaching. So it's all on live. It's all on a Zoom, similar to the stream we have right now in a group setting. And all of our events are live streamed. They're recorded, so people have access to a library and or can participate live in all of those trainings. So juggling a handful of things.
Yeah. So when you and I were chatting before the podcast of just, hey, what is this about? Because you've got a laundry list. I mean, we could talk for hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when I met you probably 3 or 4 years ago, you were doing over 100 million in production, and you and I were having the conversation, and I said, oh my gosh, Jeff, that just sounds so overwhelming. I just can't even imagine, nor do I want that. And it's been interesting in my journey that things that I'm starting title and mortgage and all the things that and we're buying investment properties, all those type of things. But when you're an outsider listening, you're like, oh my gosh. So kind of maybe let's start back. How did you get on this path? Because you didn't just arrive here.
Yeah.
So like a little bit of a journey.
Yeah. It'd be like, you see a toddler or baby that's crawling. You're not going to teach them how to sprint. You're not going to teach them how to run hurdles, right? And I think the challenge is we only can think so far ahead. And so typically when you meet with someone and you do like life visioning, I think that it's wise to have a 12-month goal and a 5-year goal. It's really challenging to have a 20-year goal, because what's going to get you to your 20-year goal, you're going to totally change. Every year you're changing the person that you are. And so literally one of the activities we implement in all of my businesses is every person in the organization, independent of the seat that they're in, has to come up with what their 12-month and 5-year goals are. And then we try to help them see what type of income they'd need to generate to be able to accomplish their dreams. And if they can accomplish those dreams inside my organization, they're never going to leave my organization. And so I started off as an agent. I just wanted to put food on the table. Literally, I was 22 years old, had served a 2-year mission trip for our church, had gotten an undergraduate degree in business with an emphasis in management and a minor in Spanish, and decided to become a realtor. My grandma cried when I told her I was getting licensed. This was back in 2006, was November of 06. And I just wanted to sell houses. So that was all I did. I sold 50 homes my first year, was rookie of the year at my indie brokerage of 500 agents, made $96,000 net. And that was my first full year in 2007. In 2008, I hired an admin, continued to grow by about 25% a year for 5 consecutive years until I was making about 350 grand net, doing about 75 transactions with one admin. And in 2011, I woke up and said, you know what? I need to do this a different way, because I wasn't living the dream that I always wanted to live, because I was working a job and trading time for money. And it was more money than I ever dreamed of, but it wasn't the life I wanted. And so I chose to build a team.
Yep. You were going through the grind to make that
I
much
was
money.
grinding.
Yeah. To make that much money as a real estate agent, I mean, you're hustling all the time, right?
Every day I'm hustling.
Well, it's true, but it's kind of interesting. I don't know. It's interesting when you talk to agents, because there's usually two. You either have the high level fiduciary that's like the go-to person, or you have the team. Obviously you have the people that are trying to get to that high level. And it's interesting because the people that are just doing the production on their own, they don't understand the team concept. But the reality of it is,
understand what it means to own a business. All
right.
They own is a job. No different than working any other 8-to-5 job, except the hours are worse.
Right. Exactly.
24/7.
Yes. So you woke up and were like, I got to make this to a business. So what was the first step you took?
First and foremost, the difference between you and me are the people we meet and the books that we read and the podcasts we listen to. So from day one, you see my bookshelf behind me. I've read every book on real estate, entrepreneurship, leadership, not every book, but a lot, hundreds of books. And I started listening to hundreds, thousands of podcast episodes. Then I started becoming a podcast guest. And where I saw the most value was masterminding with top-minded individuals all over the country, where I would fly to their brick and mortar and learn as much as I could, download all the positives and negatives of their life experiences as they built and scaled their businesses. And so that's what helped me from an educational standpoint get to a point where I felt confident that if I'd back out of the buyer side sales and start building a team, in 20 years from now, what I thought, in 20 years from now, when I was 27 and launched my team, I thought maybe by the time I'm in my 50s and my kids are leaving the house, I'll be able to exit the day-to-day grind. And I actually ended up doing it in 2 years.
That's awesome.
So in 2014, I stopped selling real estate.
Okay. So you went and toured, I've heard you say this, like 50 real estate offices in like a year. Is that right?
Yeah, but now it's over 100. But yeah, in our first year of educating ourselves, it was books, podcasts, and then touring other teams. So
what is your takeaway from touring the other teams? Like, what do you think is the common denominator?
Number one thing was people are super average. Because I was worried, like, I'm not that smart. I got a low ACT score. I was always like a really bad student. I got in trouble all the time for talking. And for anyone that knows the disc, I'm a 99D, 99I. And I honestly always thought I was going to be super successful, but I wasn't going to be a doctor, dentist, or lawyer because they own jobs and I didn't want a job. I wanted something that I knew would scale. And I thought, I'm going to get into real estate because I know there's so many options in getting into real estate. I never thought I'd build the team. But as I went out to visit these people that were making a net $1 million a year, working 5 hours a week or less in their businesses, on their businesses, I thought, wow, these people are pretty amazing. How are they doing so well? And so I started asking the questions, how do you generate your leads? What's your culture like? What are your splits like? All of the different things that make up a successful business. And the number one thing I took away from it is that these people are just average people who were willing to take risks and build and scale. And that was their focus. And when we get stuck in our ways of not looking and thinking we have arrived or I'm good enough with what I have today, you're not going to grow.
Right. So being willing to take the risk. So first risk, if you're just even a solo agent, is hiring the admin, taking on that risk.
First admin. Yeah, a third of your net profit going to someone else. It's scary.
Yep. Scary. Then from there, hiring your first buyer's agent, like you're all of a sudden losing control of that they're not working with
and maybe
you.
giving away your sphere to them, right? Now, what am I going to do with it? I'm losing half my income by turning that deal over at a split.
It's so true. So how do you scale it? What do you feel like is
Yep.
the number one thing? Because I hear that like my SOI now is walking out the door with Joe Schmo agent,
Yep.
right?
Yep. So this is my simple recipe. Go out to jeffsbusinessplan.com. And that is my free PDF give to your audience. It's literally the plan I implemented in 2 years to get to the 7th level, which in Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller in the early 2000s, talks about how you can work less than 5 hours a week on your business, run the CEO model, and net over $1 million a year, which I did the first time back in 2015. So what was the initial question so I can answer it directly? I just went on a tangent.
So
I had an answer too.
I know.
I looped too far around. I got into it. If it goes beyond 30 seconds, I'm like, oh boy, I lost it.
So my original question was, what do you say on this step of building the team that you're worried about? Like, okay, now they're walking out the door with my SOI. So what gave you the confidence that you were like,
yep. So the biggest piece of confidence I got was where we created what I like to call clarity or flow. And so when I first started the team, we launched Omaha's Elite Real Estate Group. We were the Cohn team and our tagline was Omaha's Elite Real Estate Group. I killed the Cohn and just made us our tagline because people want to build something that they feel like they have ownership in. And if your name is attached to it, and I know a lot of people have their names and don't change it at this point, but I had the opportunity where I was young enough and it was new enough that I could make it something else other than my last name. So I thought leads was going to be the number one thing that would attract agents. And it still is a value add. I don't think it's the number one, but it is a big value add is that we had leads both from my SOI as well as internet leads that we generated. So we were able to, and these are the same numbers today, figure out how much a Google ad lead or a Facebook ad lead would cost. So back in 2012, our first full year as a team, we actually went from like 70 sales to 240 sales in 12 months by adding 6 agents and giving them a bunch of internet leads. Yep. And the leads would cost $1 a click. We'd need 10 clicks to get a lead. So $10 for a registered lead. And we converted at about 2%. So I needed to spend $500 to convert a deal that would on average pay out $6,000 and of which I would split with my agent 50-50. Yep. So I netted $2,500 per internet converted lead. So my funnel essentially became my what's it called? The point in which the funnel comes to the bottom. Can't even remember the point. My bottleneck ended up being agents willing to work the leads, not creating leads. Lead gen is easy. It's having agents that are willing to work those leads. I knew every time I would give someone 50 leads, I'd make $2,500 net. So then the whole thing from 2012 to today, the whole thing has been, let's find agents that are willing to work these leads.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I was actually talking with Chris Rodgers the other day, and he said the exact same thing. He's like, leads are a dime a dozen now. Yep. It's now having the skills and the agents that are willing to actually step up and work them and train them on how to do it.
Yep. And you know what's interesting, Spring, to me, the process you have to implement to convert a sphere lead is the exact same as the process you implement to convert an internet lead. And a lot of people think of the leads differently. The only difference is the internet lead doesn't know you, like you, trust you. So you have to earn that confidence from day one. But once you've spoken to someone and determined how long till they're buying or selling and you put them into an appropriate category, you need to love on them all the exact same way. Send them listing updates, buyer lead updates, little drip emails, text messages, phone calls, voicemail drops, all of those things to get them to eventually work with you. So teaching people that and then holding them accountable to it has been what has helped our team to grow to number one at Berkshire Hathaway in the world.
I think one thing that you said that just resonated with me though, is you were willing to spend the money on the leads and you held your money accountable. And so you really treated it like a business. I mean, that's what business is, right?
Sure.
Agents don't generally, they're not willing to spend the money. And they don't hold their time accountable or their systems accountable. So that's why you are crushing it. Because you're like, hey, this is simple. It's not hard. It's like any other business. You're going to pay for leads. What's the conversion? And do I have the person on the other side of the phone or servicing that can service it? Yep. And I think as agents, we just don't think of as a real estate as a business.
Yep. It's working the job versus the business. And so I eventually, I stopped working buyers from day one. We launched in 11. In 2012, 2013, I never worked with a buyer. I just focused on listings because that was my highest income producing activity. So I handed all of my sphere of influence and internet leads over to my agent team of 6. And then it was 12. And then it was 24. When you download that business plan, you'll see kind of what our progression looked like. And eventually I was like, you know what? I don't even think I have to go on the listing presentations. I think I'm going to be able to stop altogether. So the year in 2014, when I quit working both sides of the business, I netted $525,000. So the very next year where I was going to choose to no longer sell, I had just made over $500,000. And my next year, which was 2015, I took a $75,000 pay cut. I added 450. And to me, that was a huge success. I didn't sell one client. I didn't have to work with a single client. And people tell me all the time, like, but I like working with clients. And I say, that's okay. Like, you can work with clients, but why would you not build a business or a sandbox, if you will, that would allow you to not have to? Yeah. That's all I challenge everyone to do, is build something that allows you to not have to. I get that it's like fun sometimes and it's family and friends and you make a lot of money doing it, but put yourselves in a position where you don't have to. It's life-changing.
Yes. I think the other thing is, Jeff, is that like when somebody joins your organization or another team that's got it cranking, they're walking into mentorship, coaching, training, lead gen. You're basically fronting these agents' businesses, right? You're bankrolling it and training them. Like, it's a no-brainer that people want to be in your world, right?
Yep. And that's, the class I teach is culture, lead gen, lead conversion, accountability, and then the systems and strategies to building and scaling a successful business. Training is a huge piece. So I always like to say you should train everyone in your organization to be the very best versions of themselves and be able to leave you, and treat everyone in your organization to never leave.
Yep.
And so our focus has always been like, we've given them as a leadership team everything we wished we had that we never got from our broker. Most brokers are not doing their jobs because 19 out of 20 agents are leaving the business. They're leaving it because there's no one there holding them accountable, generating leads, training on how to work the leads, following up, helping them define essentially what their goals are in their lives so they know how much money they need to make to live up to those goals. And you start putting all those pieces into place, there's no limit to the success that you can have. So we actually have a workshop spring, if it's okay for me to have a shameless plug on the show.
Yeah.
It's called the Team Building Workshop. I think you participated in that at some point.
I have been to that, actually. Yes.
So if you go out to jeffsworkshop.com, you can learn more about how we built and scaled our business, and you can check that out. It's $997 to attend that workshop. We just announced today on a podcast we did earlier, we are now offering an investment workshop the day after, which is only you get 50% off if you go to both. And that's ersinvestorworkshop.com. So come hang out with us for 2 days. Would love to have you guys come check out Omaha. Spring, you want to speak to it for a minute for those listening that are like, man, he's upselling something.
Yeah. So actually, so has it been 2 or 3 years? It's been a couple years.
Maybe. Yeah.
My business had plateaued. I've always been at that 50 million mark. And I was like, okay, I need to go that next level. Who's crushing it? And so I came to Omaha, did your workshop. It was super insightful. I mean, you break it down step by step. You go over all of them, the culture, leads, accountability, systems, exactly what you do. I think my aha, exactly what you said earlier, was it's not rocket science.
Simple.
It's simple. It really is. And it's just owning it and being consistent and having your value proposition. Yep. And so, I would recommend anybody go. It's super insightful. Jeff has a really, really cool office too, that I really want, by the way. I want to emulate it.
It's the office of the future for those, obviously watching this. It's a touch and go philosophy. So none of my agents have offices. It's 3,200 square feet, kind of the Google feel or Amazon, Facebook.
Yep. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool because here's the thing, like my office is a little bit larger and everybody shows up every day and makes calls, but it turns into almost like a frat house. And I'm like, get out of here, go. Like if you're not selling, like go. And so I think your office environment is perfect.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Let's touch on one thing before I let you go, because ibuyers are coming really relevant in some of our spaces, and you are doing something really cool with the wholesale, buying houses, all that. So Tell me how you got into that. And obviously you're going to be teaching your workshop. So maybe go a little bit more into that as well as what that entails.
Yeah. So first off, I'll address that. So the workshop, if you come out to the team building workshop, we're going to give you a taste of the investment side the second day for free. So the morning of the second day, I'm going to go into recruiting, and then my business partner and best friend, Clint Bartlett, is going to talk about investing and the who and the why of investing. And then the whole afternoon is going to be dedicated to all of the idiosyncrasies, like the different marketing mediums, how do we fund our deals, etc. So the mindset behind investing started when I started doing interviews. I did personal interviews with probably the top 20 agents in Omaha my first year where I got into the business. And this was like something I did systematically when I chose to go do internships my senior year of college. I interviewed 20 entrepreneurs, business owners, different people that I had respect for, and asked them, if you were 22 again with a college degree and my fire, what would you do? And everyone said, do not have a boss, do not work a job, go start your own business. Whatever it is, just start it, you're going to kill it. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to work for anyone. I'm going to get my license and become a real estate agent. And I thought that would be the thing I wanted to do. So then I implemented the same strategy. I'm sharing a long story because I was shocked. The response I got from all the top agents was invest in real estate. Well, I'm $50,000 in debt, 22 years old, made no money, scared I'm not going to sell a single house, living in a single family apartment with a new baby, just recently married. And I'm like, buy houses? How the hell am I going to buy a house? Right. And so I kind of ignored it and kind of pushed it off to the side. Well, after my first year, I netted 96,000. I'm like, what am I going to do next year? And I thought, I'm going to invest in some houses. I'm going to hire an admin. And that's what I did because I had my living expenses. We had a date budget spring when I first got married of $10 for our date night. Hot and ready pizza and Blockbuster video. That was my date. Super sexy, right?
You're dating yourself, honey. Blockbuster.
No, I did date myself. Exactly. Yeah. That's why I shared it. It's hilarious. For those that don't know what Blockbuster is, you used to go rent a VHS tape. All right. So it's amazing, just kind of see where we were. And that was 15 years ago. I mean, that's not like 40 years ago, right? And just all the things you can accomplish in such a short amount of time. So I don't even remember. Now I'm lost my track again. Where are we going?
So investing.
So I did 2 or 3 and I realized it's its own thing. Like you have to focus on that the same way you would focus on building and scaling your team. And so I waited until I found the who. A lot of times we always want the what. So we want to find the person to fit in the spot. Usually you need to look at people's talent and ask yourself, where would they be best suited? Well, I had my best friend at the time who lived in Rancho Cucamonga, California, working at Frito-Lay. He got transferred to Omaha to work for Conagra. And he had 100 people he was responsible for. He was huge on process orientation. He was a great implementer. And I said to him back in 2014, hey, we should start investing in real estate. You should quit your job. He was making 120 grand a year, had a small, 4 kids, new family. He's like, dude, I can't quit my job. I was like, all right, well, let's do it part-time nights and weekends. We'll dabble in it, do one every month or one every couple of months and just see how it goes. And within the matter of 12 months, we had 7 deals under contract. We'd made a couple $100,000 and we saw the writing on the wall was that he needed to quit his job and be my full-time implementer. And then he plugged into my title company, my insurance company, my real estate company, my inspection company that I partner with, my market, all these different things. There's all these synergies with this other business that runs parallel. And then that's just slowly grown over the years. Now, using that strategy of going and visiting top agents, we did the same thing with our investment company. Yep. We started joining all the top investor masterminds. People that don't even have real estate, don't sell real estate, don't have real estate licenses. There's a whole nother world of podcasts and information out there to learn on how to invest. And as you mentioned earlier, we now know when you analyze a deal, there's 6 different ways to buy it. 1, you can wholesale it, wholetail it, flip it, hold it, pass on it, or list it. So there's 6 different ways to make money off these opportunities. As an agent listening to this, all you're doing is listing it. That's your only option. So you ask the iBuyer question. I remember that. So with iBuyer, you have these companies now competing against you that are saying, hey, don't list the house with Spring Bengtzen. Why don't you just sell it to us? And yes, you're not going to make the same amount that Spring recommended you list it at. We're just going to shave off 10 or 15%, but it's a done deal. Cash buyer, you pick the terms. It's all done for you. So what we've done to combat the iBuyer strategy is my agents are empowered to make offers on the listing presentation. And I compensate them the exact same if the seller takes our offer. And the offers are typically 20 to 30% below after repair value. So it doesn't happen a lot, but my buyers can call, or my agents, can call a seller and say, hey, we're going to make an offer the day I do my listing presentation. Every time I do a list pres, I'm going to make an offer at that listing presentation. And I've empowered them with the dialogue, and it's awesome because during the list press, we say, hey, today I'm going to make my first offer. And they'll be like, how much? And if, let's say the house is 300,000, they'll say it's, it's not going to be great, but at least you got something to fall back on. It's going to be $240,000 is the offer. And you can pick your terms, pick your closing date, no inspection. We can close in 7 days if you want. We can close in 150 days. It's up to you. And there are people that are like, you know what? That's worth it. We don't want the stress. We don't want people coming in the house. We don't want to have to clean up the house. We don't want to worry about the foundation issues or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. Well, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent, right? Like we're seeing it everywhere. And it is one of those things like as iBuyers start happening, it is something that agents are going to need to have in their toolbox.
I totally agree. So partner with a local, you as agents should be buying, if you can get a house at 30% below market, you should be buying them yourself. Go get your uncle, your friend, your local bank to fund that acquisition deal. If you want to refer it off to an investor, there are going to be a handful of people.
Call us, right?
Yeah, there you go. Call Spring if you're in, your area.
Or Jeff, well, if it's a great deal, you know where to find us, right?
Yeah, exactly. So iBuyer is definitely out there. It's something to be cognizant of. And honestly, you guys, I think as agents, we should be really scared of our commission. Our commissions are going to be getting challenged more than we've ever seen them challenged. I think agents that can provide great value like yourself, Spring, people are still going to keep coming back to us because it is a service business, but it's going to be harder and harder. So I do highly recommend that those that are listening to this that are in the real estate business but not taking advantage of the opportunities there are with investing should start doing that today. And you might say to me, well, Jeff, it's a seller's market. There's no deals. I buy 10 houses a month and we average a 35% below after repair value purchase price. We're cash flowing on our deals. Typically, we make 1.5% of the after repair value per month, which is like an 18% return. We're like killing the investment acquisition in the seller's market. So I'm like, bring on the neutral market, bring on the buyer's market, bring on iBuyer. Like, I don't care. We're ready to go. We're geared up.
Yep. And we're doing the exact same thing here in Utah. The one thing that you just said, and then I'll let you go because I know your time is valuable, is I do think it's crucial that the agents really start thinking about their future. Because in my opinion, just my opinion, there's going to be two types of agents. You're going to have the higher level that people respect your opinion. They're going to pay you, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're going to have that
salary,
brokerage salary, like that middle of the road agent is going to be gone.
Yep.
And so it's like, and that's a majority of our agent population.
90%.
90%.
Yep,
and
I agree.
And so I know like the average person that is out there does not like when I say that. They're like, what the heck? You're crazy. I'm not crazy. Like, it's reality.
No,
like,
you're right.
The reality of it is you're going to go to your neighborhood expert that you're like love, trust, respect, and you are going to pay more because you value their service, or you're going to go to the salaried agents that's just doing the transaction.
That's working for that very competent, high level customer service oriented organization.
Totally. Yep.
I totally agree. So, pick your role. You want to be a salary person, or do you want to build an organization that offers so much value that somebody would be crazy to go the iBuyer route? And we have to show people that by going iBuyer, they're going to lose money.
Yep.
So with us, they're going to make more money, hopefully have a better experience, because we'll pay more for a better experience. People do it all the time. That's why they buy more expensive cars. They get better value. They get a better sales experience. They go to Disney World instead of their local amusement park. And people will pay for it if they believe the value's there. Mm-hmm. The problem is I think the public has lost faith in the average real estate agent. And so they're like, man, and we'll do anything we can to not have to work with a real estate agent.
Right. Well, you think we have such a low barrier of entry. I mean, everybody they know has their license, right? That's selling a house here or there.
Yep.
So I think that the number one piece of advice I'd give, and I'd be curious to what you would say on this too, Jeff, if you're an agent listening to this and you just heard that, like you said, pick which lane. But if you're going to go the lane of, I'm going to make a ton of money being an entrepreneur, then you need to plug in. Like, you need to do what Jeff was saying with listen to podcasts. You need to be going to training. You need to be going to all the type of seminars. I mean, I don't know about you, but I spend 6 figures a year on training.
Absolutely.
By the time I travel, all that stuff, because your value is worth you, right?
Yep. Jim Rohn said that your level of success will be directly tied to your level of personal development. And I've also heard it said a lot that you should spend 10% of your GCI on education, constantly educating. So I think about the taxi business, right? When Uber came out, everyone's like, oh, there's going to be an Uber of real estate. There is going to be an Uber of real estate. So what did all those taxi people think? They could have had an app easily, but they said, no one else is getting into the space. We're good. We own it. Why did they not have an app? You could have had an app. A taxi could have had that and done that, but they didn't. It's insane. So as agents, we have this opportunity right now. Do you want to build a business? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to stay relative? Or do you want to stay there as the taxi drivers did and just sit there and be like, I'm going to be okay. It's going to keep coming. The great book that speaks to this is Who Moved the Cheese? It's on my bookshelf right here. And it talks about these fat rats eating on this cheese block. The cheese block goes away and the rats keep coming back. And they're like, well, the cheese is going to come back. Cheese ain't coming back. It's gone. You got to go find it. Simple book. I just finished the book for you. You don't have to read it now.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it in a nutshell.
It's true. So give us a plug. So your podcast, where they find it, all the
Team Building Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. You want to watch a video, it's on YouTube. Team Building Summit is every summer. It's a 2-day event all day. I know Brian Spring's husband has spoken twice as our keynote. I'm hoping to get him a third time. We also have workshops almost every single month in Omaha, the Team Building Workshop, and we just launched investment workshops. So ersinvestorworkshop.com or jeffsworkshop.com. And then we offer group coaching for team leaders and individual agents. And all the information you need to find out about that is at eliterealestatesystems.com.
Jeff, I so appreciate you. You're one of my favorite humans. Just so
wow.
Yeah. So I love talking to you. Yes. Like I was all, I need to talk to Jeff. So,
well, we jammed out.
I just think that you're real and you bring massive value. So it's fun. It's fun to see
you. You are too, Spring. Thank you. And thanks for dressing up. I'm sorry. I'm just like raggedy here with my t-shirt, my flat bill.
I have a
Spring.
You just can't see. I have on jeans, but I have really
good
shoes
you?
On. Oh, absolutely.
I'm in exercise shorts.
See?
Oh, you are. Okay. Well, good.
All right. Well, you're the best. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You guys check out Jeff's podcast and all of his coaching offerings. I would highly recommend them.
Awesome. Thanks, Spring.
Okay, thanks.
See ya.
Bye.